Okay, so I bought this lava soldered kit for pedal boards and any kind of interconnects. It's the Lava Mini Soar, S-O-A-R, DIY do-yourself kit. It's got 10 plugs. This one came with 5 right angle and 5 straight plugs. I have another one that had all right angles. So this is the kit I got. And the problem I came across is I didn't see any guides for how to do this. I suppose people more experienced soldering or do more cable work like this, I'm sure know in a second what to do. I didn't. I found one video on YouTube that looked like dealt with this kit that I got, but I guess they've changed over time to have a new system. The old one kind of had this kind of interconnect that would plug in here, and then you put a couple more things together and push it together. Anyways, you can find it pretty easily with a quick Google search. They've updated the kit. Let me just show you what's in the kit. Again, this is it, lava solder cable. They give you a whole spool. This is 10 feet of their 0.155 cable. It comes with a bunch of these heat sleeves. You got 10 total. This kit came with right angle and some straight connectors. Each of these came with a back. The straight connector back is a little bit longer. It's not the straight connector back. This is. And the right angle sleeves, the right angle connects, came with a little bit shorter one and a backing here. The process for doing this isn't too hard. I actually like this better than buying a bunch of connects. It's much cheaper. If you go to tubedepot.com, I'm going to put links to everything I got in the description field. If you go to tubedepot.com, they have a whole tutorial about how to take nice Agami cable, high-end connectors, and make awesome cables. Much better than what I have here. And that's probably where I'll end up going now that I feel more confident doing this. So let's get into it. I've already kind of gone ahead and done the first step. So I'll show you the finished product here, and then I'll show you how to kind of get it. I've cut my cable into lengths that I wanted. I want 6-inch lengths. I found that in the interconnection that we're going to be soldering it to, I lose about 1.5 inches on each side. So I want 6-inch connects, so I cut my cable 9-inch lengths. I had a simple ruler. I set it up and then just cut them. What I did to the ends is within the cable, we'll break it open here. There's an outer sleeve, which is really easy to cut through. There's an inner shield, which we're going to wrap into the ground. And then there's a positive, which is inside the second level shield. So let's get to this stage. And then I think it's going to get easy. What I ended up doing, I guess I should say, too, is I just cut all my cable up into all these lengths that you see here. And I sat down, I was watching a baseball game last night, and I just, in between pitches or whatever, I just did this whole process. So it seemed like it worked easier for me to do all the cutting and the trimming and prepping and then coming over and doing the second stage. I've done a whole other kit. I'm just going to show you really quickly how I did it. Okay, so the good stuff. I have a cable here. I've already done one end. I'm going to do the second end. They gave you this tool that came with it, I guess in addition to all these other parts I showed you. And it works okay. I didn't really have a lot of success with it. I ended up cutting this shield, and you don't want to cut any of the shield. You want to keep it all that intact. So what I did is I have a little butt knife. I pulled just any of the blades off, and I very easily I took the connect. I think I want about a 3/4 length. I'm just eyeballing this. I put it on the knife on the connect, and I just roll it. Just roll it 360 degrees. I do it about 2 or 3 times. I'm pushing, but not very hard. Once I'm done with it, after about 3 rolls, I'm going to bend it over, and I don't know how well you can see this based on the focal of this camera I'm using, but there's a gap here where this bend is. So then I'm going to go to the opposite side. I'm going to do the same thing, and you can probably see a little better the gold or copper grounding. So I'm going to take my thumbnail, kind of come in here, and before you pull it off, I found this is helpful too. This saves you a few seconds. If you kind of, looks like I have a stray piece I had to pull off my fingernails. If you have, before you pull it off, kind of wiggle it back and forth as you're pulling the top end off. it seems like it loosens up those ground wires. So I've got this. This is trash. We don't really need this anymore. We'll take this guy and gently, we're going to take all these little braided copper wires, and we're going to try to take them all, bring them together, and wind them into a single wire. We use that as our ground. So I'm going to go around here, do this. Almost done that. Hopefully I don't lose any in this process. Okay, so this is pretty good. I'm going to pull it tightly, and I'm just going to begin to wind this guy done. I should mention I preheated my solder right now. I've got a cheap $24 soldering iron from Amazon. Everything I've got here is probably $30, $40 max. Like all these tools. This is another tool I got from Amazon. Again, all the links will be in the description field. I think this is $5, and you'll see how that comes in handy when it comes to soldering. All right, so we wind this guy nice and tight. All right, and then we've got this second level of shielding that's covering our positive and what we're going to connect to the actual plug. I take that same knife, and I'm just going to kind of fillet the shield off. I don't know how well this is going to transfer. Obviously, being careful not to cut my finger off. That's always a positive. Again, I'm not a pro at this stuff. I was trying to save a few bucks. I thought it was kind of a cool concept. I did a lot of research on cables when I was doing this, trying to find out if I want to do these solderless cables. Lava does a lot of solderless. There's George L's, another company, does great solderless work. A lot of the guitar players that I liked use solderless, and I assumed that there was like a benefit in signal strength or signal quality. And there's not, and I heard horror stories about people using connects in their boards on shows with these solderless cables. So I thought, well, how hard is soldering? And it turns out it's not. A few YouTube videos later, here we are. Okay, so I've cut one side of this cable off, kind of, and pulled it back a little bit to expose this wire. I don't know where this is going to come into view for you guys. Hopefully it does. And I'm just going to take my knife and just gently work this thing back and forth until I cut the rest of that plastic on the opposite side away. Well, I at least get to a place where I can pull it off. Okay, so I've got this side now, bending back, is the same as the other side. And what I've done to the other 5 cables I'm going to prep here, or turn into cables. The second part is the soldering. So once you've got this done, you can have maybe a sample length of cables. You can see out of the 2 packs, I did 6-inch cables. I have a ton left over. So you could take a foot and just practice this until you feel like, oh, I got it going pretty good, and you're set. And work through your lengths however you want. Okay, so I'm going to make a right angle, and that's what I'll do in this video. The straight isn't going to be any different. The soldering and everything that goes on with that will be the same. So what I do is I got this contraption. Again, hopefully you can see this. There's a length in this clamp, or a little kind of cavity that I'm going to put this guy in. This plug, this right angle plug that came with the kit. And that's where I'm gonna do my soldering. I don't know how well you can see this guy. Maybe I'll post a picture or a link. If you go to the cable, the Lava Cable site, they'll show you. We're gonna solder this top guy. Actually, let me bend this up so it goes in. I tended to do this too. I bent the cable up so it went into this ring. We're gonna put this top part into what's called the tip. I guess I gotta bend a little more. Alright, and that's kind of like what I'll begin to solder. The metal tip, the part that's in the inner shield, the solid cable, it gets soldered to this piece here. I don't know how well that's going to show. This piece here. Then this shielding actually gets soldered to the outer edge of this guy here. The cable's divided into 2 points. The first is tip, and this is kind of like your ground, your barrel, or whatever. it's black with this black piece. The black piece doesn't do anything except stop the two from canceling each other out. So if you look at, actually I have another cable here. This is called a TRS cable, tip ring sleeve, I think. Again, I'm no expert. There's a second of these dividers, and this is for stereo cables. Most of the cables that you use in guitar and instrument are mono. So you'll only see this tip in the sleeve. This has got an extra ring in it, and that's for doing stereo, but again, most of your cables are going to be doing just mono. Alright, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to solder the top end, or the inner part to the tip, and I'm going to solder the shielding to this outer kind of casing, which will end up going to the sleeve. Create our cable. A word of caution with solder. I mean, again, I'm no expert, but I just got some reading glasses that I use that will help protect my eyes. That was one of the things I saw in Tube Depot. The guy recommended some eye covering. I haven't seen anything like splatter, but I'm not taking a chance with my eyes. My little cheap soldering iron, the kit came with this little sponge that I soaked in water so that you can take it and dab it. I don't know if you've done any soldering. I'm sure there's videos out there. You can kind of get a sense of how it's done. You preheat the iron. Typically what you do is you take a little bit of the solder and you put it on the tip. Like this actually doesn't look like there's any. I'm just going to put it on there. And you what's called tin it to kind of protect it. This smoke you don't want to breathe. I'm sure that you get some fumes in just because we can't protect yourself totally. But once that's tinned, then you can go into soldering these pieces. And this little contraption I got really holds it in place great. I slide the cable in through that ring and just let it rest. And the way you solder is like you got two pieces of metal that touch. You just put your wrench across the part where they touch, and it heats the metal up. And then you apply the solder to that connection point, and it fuses the two together, or actually creates a metal that kind of connects them both. So it's kind of it's different. Again, I'm no expert. I'm sure I'll get tons of hits on that description. So now I've tinned it, and I've got a little bit of black on there. I think you're supposed to just wipe it off on the edge there before you start. So I don't know how to best do this. Maybe I'm going to come in and I'm going to lay my iron on here. Again, I'm sure there's tons more videos about how to solder better. And lay my iron here, and then just push this in. And I wait till what I think is flux starts bubbling, and then I back off. And just blow. And it should be cooling down, and a connection will be made. I tin it again, put it back in here. I check out my connection. I kind of pull sometimes just to test it, but I should probably blow a little bit more to make sure it's tight. Yeah, it's very tight. And then I take my wire trimmers, and once I put this ring through the sleeve, there's going to be excess. I'm going to trim the excess right off. Go in here and do that. And the second part, I just kind of lift this guy up, and I take this shielding, and I try to make more of like an angle out of it, so it will sit on that angle. And I do the same thing. I lay the iron on top of the shielding and this bottom casing here. On the shielding as it lays on this casing, and I heat them both up and then apply my solder. So here I'll just make that angle. Yep, there we go, that's good. Take my iron, clean it off. Again, I don't know that much. Hopefully I'm doing this right. I did a whole nother set, plugged them in, they sound great. So hopefully it wasn't all an accident. Alright, here we go. Let's put this down. And sometimes you can't hold on to this because the metal's actually going to heat up. So see how I'm holding the actual device's brace? This is heating up these two connections. I'll put in some solder. Just let it heal. So that was good. Tune this guy. In the two depot videos, they did a much better job. He has this stuff called flux that he puts on there that apparently makes the solder kind of follow it, and then it made a cleaner connection, I think, from what I understand. So if you check out the two depot video, there's a great tutorial there. That's just kind of how to do these guys. Okay, so this guy's done. His connection's strong, so I'm going to push him down underneath these two outside kind of safety pins. And I'm going to take a wrench, or pliers, not a wrench. And I'm going to put it into my pliers have kind of this cavity that I'm going to set it in. And squeeze down on the one closest to me. It seems to kind of bend over like it did there. Bend over. I'm going to come over to the other side. Do the same thing. Bend down. And there we go. We got a connection. Now, before I had done the other side, I would have slipped on these sleeves. If you're gonna do a cable, you gotta do both sides. So I would have put this stuff on. I don't have a heat gun, and that's what these guys are for. You would take this guy at this point, slide him on, or have already slid him on if you've done this side, and you would put this guy over top. And actually, let me make a note of this. Plastic needs to come down. It protects this connection from touching the outer casing. Right up to where this is about as far as I can get it right there, with the rib for the stuff to get tied on goes. It doesn't look like it goes much farther, but I can take a heat gun and this will shrink down on top of it and hold it nice and snug. I don't have that right now. My father-in-law's got one, so I'm just doing it this way for now, without the heat sinks or without the heat wraps or shrinks. I'm putting this guy on, and I'm leaving them actually in the cable. I've got one I've finished here already. I'll show you. So I'm doing this. So I'm going to unscrew this when I go to his house and slide the shrink wrap through, and then heat gun and slide it back on. Hopefully that makes sense. It's not too tough. They show again on the Tube Depot video him doing that. So I'm going to take the backing, put it down on top of this plastic so it comes out. I've already bent these two down. Come over and just tighten it up. Typically it's not like super smooth because this isn't like smooth path. And sometimes I'll take my wrench so it doesn't go all the way, and I kind of tighten it a little bit more. That's it. For the other side, I would slide on the shrink wrap, and I would slide on, depending on if this is a straight or a angled. In this case, the angled, so I don't have the back, and I'm just going to slide this guy on. And I'll go ahead and solder this, and that's it. That's all I got. I have a bunch of these I've done to replace my old ones. I've got these out of a box, like your Guitar Center for like $7. And they're okay. They get the job done, but they suck after you have a bunch of them in a row. I got about 12 pedals, so it gets a little crappy. But these sound great. I have just about half my board set up with them. It sounds phenomenal. So good luck. Hope this helps. And again, in the description field, I put all kinds of links to different stuff that'll help you. You can do this, no doubt at all. If I can do it, you can do it. Jump in there, save some money, and make some better quality cables.